thing about reflecting is that you get a chance to think about what you're doing is right or not. And as I'm doing these journaling and trying to figure out where I'm coming up short, how I can be better, I have a look at my own training. And for the last 13 years plus, I'm talking just about the gym right now, not about the sport prior to that, I've been taking the path of most resistance. So I would always choose exactly what would be the hardest path for me to do. And in some ways, it's always been beating my head up against a wall and literally brute forcing my way through it. And I'm very grateful that I took that approach of training hard and smart, but in that order. And, really failing forwards, learning the lessons, getting back up, just trying to build a grit and resilience and a mindset that never quits. Now, after 13 years of treating my body like that, of pushing myself to failure pretty much every session, pretty much every single day, like there's a handful of days I've skipped in the last 13 years of training. How does your body feel of that, man? There's been a lot of different training cycles, a lot of different splits. I've tracked almost every workout. For the first 2 years of training, it was just about getting better to play football, soccer, as you guys know from watching my other videos. Then the last 11 years has been powerlifting, strength style training. Everything's been really strength first. And that's probably influenced a lot by Dragon Ball Z and the martial arts movies that I watched growing up, and just wanting to be the best version of myself, which I define as being the strongest version of myself. Coming into the last couple of years, maybe the last 3 years, I've had a bunch of injuries. Tore both my quads multiple times. And then I get back into the gym, push hard, tear them again. I've had a lot of different setbacks, broken backs, twisted up, all kinds of stuff. But last few years, it's really been these quads. Come into the training in this last couple weeks, I'd say. And I've just started squatting again. And then, bang, feel like it's gone. My shoulder doesn't work. My leg doesn't work. And you're like, bro, I've been here before. Let's go fix it. Doing my old rehab exercises that I'm already prehabbing, but we're doing the correct warm up and the warm down. All the stretching throughout the day. And I'm a master of paying attention to this stuff. Or am I? Keep getting injured. I go talk to my physio buddy Paul, and he's solid, man. He's solid. It's really hard to find a solid guy when it comes to adjusting your body with this stuff. There's a lot of people who have the book smarts, but not everyone has the street smarts, And Paul's worked with a lot of elite athletes. So me and Paul were chopping it up as I'm like, yeah, man, so that comp I told you that I was thinking about doing a week out, he's like, yep. I said I did it. And he's like, not surprised, how'd you go? Second place? Yeah, thought so. And that's why I'm here. And he's like, yeah. And I said, we knew this conversation would happen. Both nodded, yep. So it's just always the approach of pushing so hard, like wanting it so bad, that you're just willing to go to these levels where you're literally busting quads. Not 1 week after I started squatting again, I pull up with another injury. And this is also coming into that comp, man. I'm barely able to move my arm, still benching 160 or something. But looking at where I want to go, I can't keep having this same approach of being injured and then training for 1 week, 2 weeks, and quickly gaining, but then quickly getting injured again. So something has to change. And in my reflections for the last few weeks, I've been thinking, how can I rest more in the weights, but keep the intensity up? Because I found out, guys, that what I really love more than the training itself is the intensity, is the pushing and giving 100%. And I've tasted what this feels like when I'm grinding in my studies or grinding in my businesses or learning some new skill. I actually really just love the art of learning and creating, but being super intense and focused with it and overcoming challenges. That's what I really love the most. I can train it and mold it and build that in the physical with the bodybuilding, with the powerlifting. So that's probably why I've loved this sport for so long, because it's so trackable and numerical based of what you put in, you get out. When it comes to the diet, the nutrition, the rest, recovery, everything like that. I'm trying to say, like, well, what are my weaknesses? I look in the mirror, I can see calves, core, forearms. There's some massive areas that I've neglected for various reasons over the years. And so I say, well, if I'm coming up short there, man, I got to adjust this. How can I fix this? Maybe that's I got to drop my 2 leg days a week, make it 1 leg day a week and go a core, calves, cardio day. For the last 11 years, I've trained like a powerlifter, man. Like the Tin Man. Stiff, robot. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. It's very stiff. It's very like that. And I've really, really been craving to come back into some sports. A lot more movement. Love running around with my kid and my girl. Love cycling. These other things that I've wanted to try for so long, but I've had my head so narrow-minded on the powerlifting style of training and strength training and pushing that, and then coming into coaching and just trying to show up every single day for my guys, and just pushing in there and having felt like I'm tied into this box, which has never been my philosophy of training, and it can lead to a very monotonous, boring life. So as I'm saying this to Paul, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to be trying some different style of training. It's like, yes, that's what you need, because we both agree that rest is not ideal for me. Rest is not ideal for someone who wants to push every single day. When I've taken the approach of least resistance or less resistance in terms of the training intensity, it's always dropped me off mentally across the board. And so I just simply refuse to live like that. And thankfully, Paul understands that, but it's good to bounce back between people who have actually been about this life. And if you notice, a lot of the guys, well, you who's probably watching this, you love to train every single day. And why? Because you just love the feeling it gives you. It's nothing more than that. It's a feeling it gives you. Is it the most optimal path? Not always. But me and Paul were talking and we're saying that, like, you know, these 3:40 a.m. wake ups or these cold showers or the early mornings, like, it's not ideal for your body to be training in those circumstances. And in one part, that trains a mindset that absolutely smashes the competition when it comes to the competition, because they haven't prepared like that. You know, preparing for the unknown variable, the difficult times, you're building a mindset that can push this heavy weight. But the alternative side of that is your body doesn't want to do this stuff. Stop fighting your body. There's a I was saying there's a very, very fine line between pushing and commanding your body to do something it doesn't want to do, to build the grit and the willpower and tenacity and say, this brain, this heart, this spirit is in control, not this little bitch body. It's me that's in control of it, not you. I tell you what to do. You don't tell me what to do. And I'm telling your ass to grow. And the other fine line is that you're fighting the body so much that it can't do what you're trying to do, but you could steer it in a direction instead, and to get it to cooperate with you and push hard. If we look at some of the people who've had extremely long careers at the top of their game, like Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, you think that he doesn't train with intensity? Of course he does, man. You got to think about that work ethic, but you got to think about how is he recovering? How is he putting that split together? And I look at myself, and because I've been self-reliant for so long and just focused on my learning approach of failing forwards, getting back up, trying again, I think that has to be done in tangent or in cooperation with getting help at the same time. So I've been reflecting on if I should go and get a powerlifting coach, trying to find who the best in the world is that's get the best results for their clients, so that I can get the opinion on how to do this. But the next thing is, guys, is that everyone's different. Everyone's got a different lifestyle. There's so many different variables when it comes to training. Fundamentals remain the same. It's really tripping me up at the moment, but it could be my level up. The way that me and Paul were talking about what to do was just a variety of movements. And my mentality and philosophy with training to serve me so far very well in life, applying to this style, like of trying new things, would be utmost intensity in a new pattern of movement, whether that be using different machines, trying different gyms for the same exercises, doing different exercises. Maybe it's Pilates, maybe it's football, maybe it's basketball, maybe it's cycling, maybe it's martial arts. Something that I can push myself physically and mentally every single day and get progression in. And I think that that's going to take a load off my body because of just how hard I want to push with the weights, that will allow me to push harder with the weights on the days that I train with the weights, rather than always giving 100% effort, but yielding 70% capacity of what results I could be. Or for a short period of time, 120%, but I've like shorted it out, and then I get injured again. I'm at 20%, giving 100% at 20. Whereas if I gave, rather than 7 days a week doing that style of training, and it's all hypothetical, by the way, because it has to be put to the test. Whether if I gave 4 days a week of training, put 100% into those days and yielded 100% results, and I'm not getting injured, that looks a lot like progression to me. I've tried the approach though, guys, before, of training 4 or 5 days a week with rest. I gotta tell you, man, it's a really peaceful life. But when I feel that peace, it's something that I can't live with. I think it's not the right kind of peace for me, bro. I get the peace by doing the work. And we both acknowledged that the rest is going to be my biggest level up. Looking back at the different training styles that I've done, there's been a period of about 6 months where I did a 5-day split or a 4-day, 5-day split of training, forcing myself to take rest days because I knew that the rest would be my level up. And it led to a place where I would have, 4 days out of the week up early, the other 2 days I'd drop off. And it was quite relaxing for like my nervous system and general quality of life, but I want to be in the midst of the war. This is where I belong. I'm a warrior for Christ. Like, I want to push every single day. I want the mindset every single day. I want to be reminded of my purpose, my mission every single day. And when I am reminded of that, but don't have an outlet to put that into, feel like I fall off so hard, man. It's just like, I don't think about this anymore and nothing matters. That's how it feels. I have a little bit of peace, but then I feel so selfish for not pushing myself, for not showing up, for not trying to provide an example. Sometimes that example is rest though. I tell my guys, if they're sick, don't train. Do I still train when I'm sick? Yeah, most of the time. Or if I'm injured, I keep training. But there's a catch as a leader. It's like you do more than what you expect of others, but also you've got to lead with the right example. So you don't want to talk hypocritical, but you do have to hold yourself to the highest standard. And so reflecting on what my standards are, and I'm like, well, I could take this opportunity right now to drop off what I really love and what my strengths are, still focus on them, still give 100% in them, but with less volume, and then put that volume, allocate it to the weak points, like the core, like the calves, like the cardio, like the other passions that I have with sport and martial arts. And that, I think, will really round me out into a place where my body is stronger. I get to have the initial purpose of the gym, which was the means to the ends of being strong across the board. And then every single day I can still remain on the same routine and same program, because I can push myself in cycling, for example, still get up at 3:40 in the morning, still do my morning routine or earlier, and get the result of pushing myself physically and mentally, but not having the same drain on my body, and instead strengthening new parts as well as strengthening the old parts, but not failing through an injury. I've tried a 300 kilo squat so many times, guys, and every single time I've torn my quads. Every single time. It's been like 7, 8 tries. And I'm tired of that. I want to win that shit. And in 7 weeks, 6 weeks maybe, I've got a chance to prove that. But at the moment, Paul doesn't think it's torn. Thinks I've shortened that fuse box like I was saying before, about like 120%. It's exploded. It's shocked. Hurts. Poking around, dry needling in the bicep. Super irritated. I've got some arms right now to go blast. He's like, it's a 24-hour recovery, most likely. Should be able to go smash this. My problem is that as soon as I get the chains off, they let the dogs out, and I go and push 100%, and then what happens? An injury. I'm on a lean bulking phase at the moment, trying to figure out if the nutrition is something that can be aiding and healing my body. I'm eating as clean as I can. I'm rarely having junk food, focusing on whole foods. I don't really take any supplements apart from creatine, pre-workout, sometimes protein powder. That's been my entire lifting career. Maybe there's some extra supplementation with fish oils and things to help my joints that are constantly aching. I don't know, but I'm trying to heal my body through this stuff. There's always more to learn. So my approach to the weight-bearing training might change slightly, but I predict as I walk along this path, I will get rest in the areas that I need resting without actually taking time off. I designed my 7-day split. I believe it's the perfect split of training muscles. But I think after a period of time, man, when you are noticing you're not progressing, you've got to change it up. My current 7-day split, guys, legs Monday, is core every single day, by the way. Legs Monday, deadlifts Tuesday. Bench will be incline or decline focus on a Wednesday, or dumbbell focus, any of those. Thursday is arms, primary, shoulders, secondary. Friday, legs again. Saturday, push, pull. So that's chest and back. Wednesday can kind of be a bit like push, pull as well, because if you didn't do your back accessories from cooked on deadlifts on the Tuesday, you want to do them on the Wednesday. But either way, you're hitting back twice a week. And then Saturday is arm day. So it's shoulder primary, arm secondary. That's given me enough time to recover all throughout the week. Prime my central nervous system, allow the fatigue to accumulate on the Thursday where I have the least amount of energy requirement. So from the Monday, Tuesday DOMs of squats and deadlifts, the Thursday gives me a very sore body, but I'm able to train arms as hard as I can. So I've developed this perfect split from over 13 years of training. Now I've got to reallocate some of that, but keeping the same fundamentals, because I've tracked and kept myself as the experiment for years. So that Friday leg session, that could become the cycling day. Maybe that Sunday, instead of being arms, is a core cardio. I don't know yet. We're going to find out. The point being is that we never settle. And when we find something that's not working, the sooner we can change that and try something different, one variable at a time, the sooner we can get a result that yields exponential results. The path of these cold showers, these early mornings, all that stuff is great to callous your mind. But if you're not actually able to do the work that provides the results, then none of that stuff matters. There is such a routine as the anti-routine. Alex Hormozi talks a bit about this, not having a routine, just doing the work. I tried it during that 5-day split, waking up whenever I wanted to, training whenever I wanted to, and honestly, it felt like shit. I think there's a point between extreme hyper discipline for a period of time to change your mindset around things, and then there's also a little bit back from there into the more lenient side, which is the sustainable area. They're both sustainable if you want it bad enough. But in terms of me with my injuries and recovery and my intensity in the training, I think this is the point where I've got to take it a little bit further back, just a tiny bit back off that notch towards comfort, a little bit further back, and say, keep these habits that progress you in terms of the early mornings, the journaling, the Bible, the reflection, that stuff, and the intensity in training, but change the stimulus that you train by. It's an interesting thing right now, guys. It's very hard for me to surrender this, but having been injured so many times and knowing that I want to fix my chest and my shoulder and fix my legs because I want to win in this powerlifting, it just doesn't have got to change an approach. If it feels scary to take your foot off the gas, realize you're not taking your foot off the gas to make changes that are going to make yourself better. You'll always, when you back yourself and bet on yourself and actually do the 100% work, you never lose. You just learn. You get back up and try again. It's a report card. What I was going and talking about with Hormozi's style, which I'm sure has served him at one point in his life, is that objectively the work must be done. And if you're not, like in the gym, the stimulus for growth and for muscle development and for strength gaining is training with weights. It's pushing yourself to failure. It's tearing the muscle down and then recovering it with your rest and nutrition. If that work isn't done, you do not progress. It doesn't matter how much you show up in the gym pushing yourself and tearing your muscles down. If you're not recovering with the correct proteins, carbs, fats, calories, it doesn't happen, guys. You can't outwork a bad diet and you can't outrun your fork. With that being said, they work completely together. So you have to marry that intensity with the accountability outside the gym in the small details. The same in business. You can be a Instagram marketer or whatever, like you could be doing all this promotion for your business, but if you're not doing the nitty-gritty work of the stuff that you want to do, which is actually the work, which is building the back end, building the systems, learning the strategy behind things, learning the psychology behind how people make decisions, helping them make a decision, talking to people, promoting your business in the way that you're going out shaking hands, telling people what you do, refining your sales process, refining your skills, refining the way you talk, always making yourself better in those ways. But at the end of the day, if you don't close the sale, you do not get paid. if you don't serve your customers with a high level of quality product, then your business falls apart. So all the ice baths, all the whatever routine is what I think that Hormozi's trying to get at, or other people that have that approach are trying to get at, that if you don't do the work, it doesn't get done. When I look at this in powerlifting, if I haven't done the strength work, the strength training, all I'm ever doing is showing up at my base level, which, to be honest, guys, is like an any given Sunday 300 kilo deadlift, 160 bench, and probably a 270, 280 squat. I know I can do it in my sleep. But how many years have I been there? Too many, man. It seems like a lot of weight when you're on the outside of this. And when you look at me as a natural powerlifter, who's usually in the sub 90s division, but when I look at it, I can't help but feel like a failure. And you guys might be like, bro, what WTF? Like, how you feel like a failure? This is incredible. And it is incredible. But when I feel like I'm not the person who I want to be yet, and I know there's more I can give, that's where I feel like a failure. And that's why when I take my foot off the gas and change the wake up time to later in the day, or change the intensity in the program, I feel like I'm failing. So the way around it, for me to be mentally, I'm not a failure, is not just looking at the past and seeing where I've come up. It's saying I'm going to choose a better future. I'll find a way through this. The reflection will always remain there. The dedication. The areas I'm coming up short right now, man, is tracking my workouts like to the exact rep, the set, filming everything so I can analyze it. Just experimenting with different exercises for a long enough period of time. I told you guys about how I was throwing more food in before to try and get my joints and everything healed because I feel so crap. Or give myself, finally, after being the last probably 10 years in a caloric deficit, not gaining any size because I'm not feeding my body correctly. I've always been like either in a cutting phase or a maintenance phase. Never really been in a bulking phase since I've started training. So I'm like, I expect that stimulus to provide me growth just automatically and probably heal all these little injuries because I'm finally feeding my body. But then I feel sore now. And I'm thinking, okay, to be fair, I have just thrown like the whole like massive amount of stimulus and shocked my body so much with this powerlifting competition. Then like a week of intense kick my ass training, my body is like, bro, whoa, what are we doing? Shut down. But I think if I combine that methodology, intensity, the correct nutrition, the right fuel, and just slightly change the workouts, that's something that'll provide a lifetime of, maybe not a lifetime, but the principles of that reflection and changing little tweaks one at a time will continue to serve me for my life. And as I come into this nationals competition, I'm going to trust that process. I'm going to sit down and reprogram my things today. Go in and blast some arms now. But I know I'll look back in a year's time, or 6 months' time, when I've added 50 kilos on my deadlift and squat and whatever, like, like a lot of weight on my total. And I'll say, man, I'm glad I had the humility to sit back, to communicate, to realize my approach might not be the best, even though it's served me mentally. Is it serving me physically? And when the direct output of the desired outcome of training is physically to grow, is physically to get stronger, you realize you can develop your mindset across the board. In your faith, you can push yourself by doing what you don't want to do, by picking up the Bible. You train that. You can still do the early mornings. You can still do, tracking your budget every single day. That's going to be uncomfortable. There's a different thing you can apply that mentality to, and train the intensity and train the value and the small details and all those different things. The life becomes the training ground now, not just the gym. You graduate. It's the bare minimum. The bare minimum was to be in shape. The bare minimum was to be a man of God. The bare minimum was to treat you with love and respect. Have that reflection, man. The bare minimum of things. So every man's supposed to be in shape. Every man's supposed to be financially dialed in. Every man's supposed to have a core set of values and habits and integrity. That's the bare minimum. You go into the gym as the training grounds for that, then you bring it to the rest of your life. The rest of your life is now the training grounds for where you need to go. Beyond the gym. Beyond the normal things the normal habits you have in your day. That's the baseline, bro. I realized I've graduated. Now it's like, how can you adapt that to make sure that you've got these tools, you've got these habits, you've got the mindset. Maybe you don't need to hold on so tight to a certain ideology in training that you have to push through every single injury. Maybe it's let go a little bit. Same approach I say with, if you want to receive gifts, you've got to be able to give. It's an open hand approach. Maybe I'm holding on too tight. We'll find out. I'll document this. I'll change the lifting split a little bit. Give it a good 4-6 weeks. Do this competition. See if it served me. Continue if it does. Adapt where it didn't work. And I'll update you guys on the changes. But reflection is key to self-mastery, guys. Reflection is key to self-mastery. Keep doing that, and I guarantee you, your life will never look the same. Always be progressing. You'll always be going forwards. All days, always, always. Love you guys. Let's get it.